our external environment shapes our perceptions of how we treat ourselves and others. Because we live in a world where electronics and the digitization of things makes things very accessible. Light switch goes on and off, instant results, swipe left or right. I can, if I'm hungry, I order something, it comes to the door in no time. Like I can live a life based on fulfilling the rapidly changing internal feelings and whims that I have. And I feel like that affects how we treat people. So we think of each other more transactionally because I think we're used to that because that's the world we live in. And I feel that some of us have lost a way of patience and a way of seeking solutions internally that are more permanent, but that take more time investment. So I think the ability to slow down is being lost. And I think folks expect maybe an instant result or desire something quickly because we've become used to it. But I don't think that's the way humans work. And I don't think that's how relationships, good ones, work. So I think slowing down is important.
Welcome to the Coachability Code podcast. This is your host, Jordan Ring. Coaches, you ready to be coached? Let's go. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on this show. I'm super excited to talk to you. We've been connected a while on LinkedIn. You always share some amazing stuff, so I just appreciate you being here today. Kevin, introduce yourself for the audience, if you will.
I love it. Yeah, man, no problem. Kevin Stark, man, about 46 years old, married, and 3 amazing kids, 10, 9, and 5 years old. Served as a Navy SEAL for 22 years, been retired for about 6, and since then have been in the coaching space, doing personal and leadership development coaching, also group coaching and team building workshops, and then also retreats. So getting people up in the mountains and focusing on, just really choosing who they want to be in the world. We talk a lot about values and virtue and having a personal ethos, and of course hikes and runs and workouts. So that's me in a nutshell.
Super cool. And we're going to get into like some deeper questions on this show, which I'm super pumped about. But let me ask you some icebreakers first, just to jump into the conversation. So for you, favorite book, favorite movie, and also a weird thing about you that not everybody knows.
Right on. Favorite book, that's tough. I might cheat and say like a top 3 or so.
That's great.
Yeah. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Love that.
I probably read that once a year. One of the books I give away at all my retreats, and I've probably given away the most, is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. That's a good one. And, there's a book actually right here, How to Be Free by Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher that I reference all the time as well. And of course, the Bible, special texts like that, the Bhagavad Gita. I would say that's probably like my favorites. Not a singular favorite, but those would be my tops.
No, I love that. I'll agree. Like definitely the Bible, As a Man Thinketh, and the Man's Search for Meaning. Those 2 books that you listed at the top were part of my time of like kind of finding myself when I hit age 25, when I was like, oh, I kind of woke up suddenly and said, I want to find my purpose. And it was part of that.
Yeah.
Part of just the books that I was, reading voraciously. So yeah, definitely concur.
Yeah. Nice. Movies. I've always been a fan of Last of the Mohicans, Dances with Wolves, and Goonies.
Yeah. Fantastic. Love it.
Gosh, the weird thing about me, you know what? I can like totally immerse myself in almost any genre of music. I can be into George Strait, country music, and then flip over to like Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can get into like 80s music and like Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper, staring at the window, thinking about the meaning of life. So yeah, I pretty eclectic taste in music, and I can jump right into like 90s hip hop rap as well when I go for a run. So all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I've always been able to kind of tune in, if you will, to quite a few different brands of music.
I think that is weird, but it's also super cool. Like I can't remember anyone ever telling me something like that where they can listen to multiple genres. Usually it's like even if they have like four or five they like, there's always one that's like, oh, I hate that. But
Yeah.
that's a very interesting. That's almost like a skill set to be able to like appreciate the multiple genres. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. A skill set, or maybe like a lack of uh, commitment or something.
Yeah, maybe something there, but it's all good.
We'll call it a skill set for now.
Yeah. All right. So, Kevin, someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, Kevin, what do you do?" How do you answer that question?
That's a good question. It almost depends on the person and
Hmm.
who that person is. If a neighbor asks, vice, someone who's someone like yourself would ask, I can explain things differently. I guess in essence, I would say, hey, I help people. I'm a leadership coach and I do leadership development training for folks. Probably the broadest, most general answer that I would give.
Yeah. So, are these specific like types of leaders? Are there any like subgenres within like the leaders in general,
Yeah.
or
It's interesting. People ask as well, like, well, what's your niche, or what's your target, or
yeah?
what's your, who's your who that you help? And either A, I haven't refined that and narrowed it down, which is a fault of my own, or B, which I lean more towards, is I feel like if I can just put my pulse out there, if you will, of like, hey, here's what I believe in, here's how I can help people, and that'll attract who's ever ready for that message at the time. So I've worked with veterans, people who are in transition from the veteran space to real world, if you will, looking for, hey, understanding themselves, trying to find a deeper purpose as they transition. I've also worked with executives like, hey, CEOs of companies that are trying to build teams of like, how do I really build a team that has like virtue intact, that's not transactional in nature? How do I also manage my time and energy effectively so I have something left when I get home? So I work with all different types of folks, if you will.
Hmm.
The important thing is like, if I stay authentic to myself and my messaging, I feel like that'll draw in people who just authentically align with it, whether it's looking to be a better leader, manage a team, or hey, I just want to be more present as a mom, a husband, a father, that type of thing.
I feel like that's such an important topic to consider
Mm.
for coaches, for anyone trying to grow a coaching business. Is like, and I know people talk about it all the time, like, oh, should I niche down?
Yeah.
And I've heard people say like you absolutely should do that, but like I'm with you on that. It's like maybe I could write a book as a ghostwriter for someone in the real estate industry, and then become like the real estate book ghostwriter. But it's like I don't really want to do that because for me it's like I'm with you. I want to attract like the people. Like it's more about it's more about the individual person who I'm working with more than it is about any type of specific niche that they're in or knowledge that they have. Like I would rather work with someone I connect with. Um,
Yes.
but it's
Mm.
harder to niche down in that area. But I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah. Nobody I coach with, I am never going to be a subject matter expert in their field, whether
Yeah.
they're a gardener, a CEO, a financial analyst, like a real estate. Like I don't. I always tell them, like, I will never tell you how to do your job. But
Yeah.
For the most part, no matter what you do professionally, I can help you with the foundations of like human performance, self-awareness, being purposeful, managing your energy, right? And breaking tasks down and giving yourself structure and routine in your life to help you flow in life. I can help you with that regardless of your space. If I had technical expertise, let's say I was a former real estate agent, maybe it would be smart for me to niche down into real
Hmm.
estate so I could help people in their fields as well. But I was a Navy SEAL, so unless someone is a Navy SEAL, they're not going to, right? I don't speak that language, but I speak the broader language of like internal medicine, if you will, like action, relationships, communication. So more of a general expertise that's more applicable to people whenever they're ready to receive it.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, like maybe I'm curious what you think about this, but I feel like we're more niche down as coaches and as service providers than maybe we even realize. Because if we're trying to be authentic to who we are, there's certain people that, yeah, we're not going to work with just because we would know automatically, okay, that's not going to be a good fit for us. So maybe it's like, even if we don't have it all like spelled out and written down, maybe we are more niche down than we realize. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe niche down in a different element, right? Some people always think of like what business, what
Hmm. Hmm.
industry, and it's like, well, I might be a little bit industry agnostic, of course, unless you're doing something that I think is atrocious, but
Yeah.
maybe we are niched to like character, or maybe we're niched to a certain type of person that views themselves a certain way, right? As you, for example, hey, I help people like bring their stories and visions to life. You need someone who has a story and who feels compelled to share their story. So that could be a way of niching down, right? So yeah, maybe it's just through a different lens.
Yeah, no, no, totally. And we kind of, I guess we were kind of hinting at this already, but if there was like a primary reason someone would seek you out, or maybe there's a few there that says like, okay, and maybe even general, like what brings someone to say, okay, they're not saying, okay, I need a leadership coach. They're probably saying, I have something that I need help with. But yeah, what does that look like?
Some people have come to me and said, look, based on your background, like you got to be an expert in building teams. Like I need help building this team.
Yeah.
I just got promoted, or I just took over, this XYZ spot.
Gotcha.
I have There's some cultural challenges. I need your help to build this team from the ground up, to bring in trust and like a new enthusiasm, and help me be a good leader in that respect. So that would be one avenue. Another one is someone who is having frustration because they know they're capable, they believe in themselves, but they feel a little bit lost. I
Mm.
always hear, hey man, I just feel like I lost my edge. I need a reset. I need to get back in gear. I just need a coach or a teammate for accountability to help me do so, which is fair. We all need that, right? It can be lonely out there sometimes for folks trying to meet a lot of demands. So some people just need a trusted teammate that's objective outside of either the board or their employees or their family, that can just be like, hey, I can just talk to you about life and you're going to help me square myself away. So I'd say those are kind of the primary type folks.
It just made me think of last year, and I haven't shared this story too much, like on LinkedIn or anything, but after my ankle surgery, I was starting to, or I had gained weight, and in the past, I've always been able to do what I need to do and do certain things, and then I could lose that. But I was stuck and I was struggling, and I felt like I was lost. And it
Mm.
was the first time that I ever hired a health coach, and it was an awesome experience. It was so good. It was like I needed that to not be lost anymore, because everything that I was trying was not doing a thing, and I was stuck for months. And I knew at that point, I was like, okay, I need help. I need to pursue something different. I can't keep doing the same thing on my own and like DIYing this whole weight loss thing, because I just say I was missing like certain
Yeah.
elements. And it wasn't even like, and it wasn't like he his name was Matt. It wasn't like he came in and was like, okay, Jordan, you need to stop doing this, do this, XYZ. It was like, here are a few things you can change. Here are all these things you're doing really well. If you
Yeah.
fix a few things, that's all you really need. And of course, it's different in every case, but it just made me think of how, oh man, I felt so lost in that way last summer. And I was totally stuck. But I didn't let myself stay there, which was, I'm proud of myself for that. I was like, okay, it's not working the same way. I gotta do something about this. So anyway,
Yeah. I think that's a great part of, we talk about coaching and helping people. People have to, I think, either have some sort of a pain point or a catalyst, or there has to be, I would say, an aspiration of vision and an acknowledgement that says, I can't get there by myself, or if I DIY it and try it by myself, like I could probably do it, but it'd be such an ass pain. Like I just really want to
yeah,
work with someone. So there has to be a vision, a destination, or something that is causing a gap. And then also maybe a little sprinkle of humility to finally say, look, like I'm a capable person, but I know there's people out there that can help me outside of myself. And I think those ingredients and make for that signal that people are looking for, like, okay, like maybe you came to that realization and you're like, all right, let me find someone that I just align with in some
hmm
possible way, whether it's word of mouth or you found someone who carries themselves a certain way and you're like, okay, I like how they say what they say, let me go work with that person.
yeah, totally. In this case, it was I got connected with him on LinkedIn, and I had him as a note on a Trello board and ideas like, okay, if I can't do this myself, this is the person I'm going to contact.
Nice.
And then it was, a quick interview from there. But yeah. All right. Who would you say is your, and you don't have to name names. You can speak in story terms or like change the name or whatever you feel comfortable doing, but your best student and what made them your best student.
I feel like I will lump multiple personas in one and just try to do it that way.
Perfect.
I think the best student is probably someone that enlightens you as a coach, someone that you learn from, where, yes, maybe initially it's like, hey, I need help. But as you learn more about the person, you're like, oh, damn, like most people, it's funny, most people looking for a coach or asking for a coach are very capable people.
Yeah.
It's not like they're incapable. I would say someone that is humble, someone that has a drive or an intensity or a willingness to do something new and different. So that has to have a little bit of like courage, because as a coach, if you go to a coach, you're going to someone who's probably going to show you something new. And if you're doing something new and different, that means you have to have a willingness to probably fail, probably look a little awkward, or to be out of your comfort zone. So there has to be an element of that, the ability to have courage, humility, and someone who's willing to iterate and try things out. There's going to be some instant wins where it's like, oh my gosh, that really helped me out. That was awesome. I appreciate that. But the bridge from like knowing to doing to being takes time. And I think a good coach
Yeah. Yeah.
help you, like we all know what we need to do typically. The world is full of like knowledge and TED Talks. The bridge from knowing to doing, that takes courage, right? Willingness to try new things. You got to shift your environment, change things around until you're doing something new and different. And then being self aware to realize, oh my gosh, this is changing my life in a positive way. And then finally, you cross the final bridge to being someone who just does those things naturally and automatically, right?
hmm
A good coach, I think, helps you go through those transitions, and it takes some time. So, someone who's willing to invest in some time to be patient as well is important.
Yeah. Have you been part of any like major like aha moments with clients?
Yeah. For me, a really special one was I was working with a surgeon, very intense lifestyle, like always on call. Just got like a senior leadership promotion. So it was initially it was, hey, I just got promoted. I need help managing this new team.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I also do some of the most difficult, stressful surgeries. And then, oh, by the way, when I get home, I also got to be a dad to two amazing kids and a husband, right? So
Yeah. Wow.
the first conversation was, I love my job, but I don't know if I can do this. This is not sustainable. I'm grinding myself out here, and I've haven't told it to anybody else, but I'm
Yeah.
worried about how I can do this job. And over time, starting small with like a little bit of self-awareness, some breath exercises, like being present, managing transitions from work to home and all these things, and putting yourself in a different state. I can't remember. It was like a few months down the line, we had a conversation. And he's like, I was in an operation and things were going really bad. And I remember for one instant drawing back from myself and thinking, wow, usually right now I'd be at a 9 or a 10 maxed out and super
Mm-hmm.
fast. And he's like, and I found myself at a 6 or 7. And he was like, that was huge. And I was just like very confident in that moment. And I was able to go, get through the rest of it and do well and make the right choices, the right decisions, and lead my team. But ultimately, like I just felt a difference in my state and what I would usually be at. And for me, I was like his biggest cheerleader. I was super inspired, and I felt as a coach just very proud of him. And I was like, fuck, we did it, man. Like the most intense type of person to work with because there's little room for change. Like the energy
Yeah.
is
You're
sustained.
looking at what kind of gaps you're having to create the gaps, I imagine.
So for that person who's very driven to be a good father and husband and to work really hard to be able to ease back that level of stress and to have the self-awareness to say, hey man, I'm improving, I'm getting better. That was a big win for me. I was really happy for that guy.
No, I mean that's amazing. I love that. I love that kind of story just because that's like for me, like hearing that from you, I feel it. And then feeling it, hearing it from students too. It's like this is why we do what we do, right? Like this is what we're doing it like doing it all for is to have those moments. It's not any sense of like, oh man, like I'm amazing because I helped them do that. It's like no, it's like it's just it gives you that, at least for me, it gives me like that purpose and
Right.
you kind of feel that that's like almost like a fire, and then it's
Yep.
hard to put that out because then you just want to have it for other people too. So
Yeah, 100%.
okay, let's go on the other end of things. What is like a worse student situation and what went on there? Like what I mean not qualities, but like all of us coaches want to vent at some point, so opportunity to vent about a frustrating situation.
I think someone that comes in excited and says, yeah, I'm ready, let's do this, I'm in. And then you check in and it's like, well, I didn't do it, I didn't get to it, or like, no,
Mm,
I did. And as a coach, you ask yourself, like, okay, how can I present this differently? Like, if someone doesn't understand, what am I not communicating correctly?
yeah,
Right. So you go to yourself first, but then there's also, you just come to the realization sometimes that some people don't want to do the work.
yeah,
I used to, it's like you working with someone writing, like, you got to put pages on, or you got to put words on the paper. And like, as a coach, it's a good reminder to like, yes, you can help people become more self-aware, you can help people with all these things, but ultimately without taking action or without putting one step in front of the other, like the ownership of life comes down to the person who's living it. And so it used to frustrate me, but now it's like, hey man, I am a coach, I'm here to help you. I consider myself more of a guide actually, but my job is to work myself out of a job. Like I don't want to create a permanent dependency.
mm-hmm,
I want you to eventually look up and say, man, I'm self-aware enough. I feel purposeful. Like I appreciate what you helped me with, but I'm going to go alone. Like that's my ultimate mission,
Yeah.
is to not be needed, for
Yeah.
people to outgrow me and then go find someone else to work with or whatever it is. But if that person doesn't want to self improve or doesn't want to put in the work, it's like, all right, I don't, come back to me when you're ready type of thing.
Yeah. And like, they made me think of this question. You don't have to have the answer to this question because I don't know that there is an answer to this question, but it's something I've struggled with too. In how do you know, even if you're just thinking of the analogy of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. How do you, and again, like, how do we as coaches figure out where that line is to say, like, I gave you enough, you need to do this, versus like, are there struggles? Is there something going on? Like, is there something I can do as a coach to kickstart that? I've always wondered that because I've struggled with that in terms of like some people coming to me. And like you said, not writing a word. At some point, you need to go to the cafe and write. There's nothing I can do if you don't give something. If you have something to work with, we can talk about it. We can like work around it.
I think it goes back to, like, as a coach, defining your role and being sure of how you want to interact in someone's life. And to your point of, hey, there's the oasis, I'll walk with you. But even more importantly, as a coach, is like, the other person defines their goals. You help them, give them shape maybe, and help them, carve a path that you think they can be successful for. But they create the destination, like they create the path. You help them. That's my role anyways. Like I said, is like, I'll help someone create a path and the steps necessary, and create like accountability and a schedule and structure and all that. So I will help you with that path. But ultimately, and they say, like, I will take 10 steps by Monday morning. And then if it's Monday and they've only taken one or none, the accountability ultimately is on them. So you have to ask them, like, you said you're going to do X, why didn't you do X? And then we work through, maybe if there's obstacles that come up, because life does happen, sure. But I think knowing your role as a coach is really important, and having those clear expectations when you first set them with somebody is very important as well. And letting them know, like, hey, I'm here to coach you, but you got to put the laps in around the track. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
can't I
Yeah.
can't provide you feedback, right? Part of coaching is like the feedback loop and generating self-awareness from the experiences you have. But if you don't have experiences for which to generate self-awareness, we're not going anywhere. So I think clear expectations helps.
Yeah, definitely. And it does make me think, like, there's so many similarities for what we do even. Okay, you'd think as like a leadership coach or me as a book coach, you think, okay, those are very different things. But in terms of like you're really thinking about coaching in general, accountability and those things. And I think when I first got into it, I wasn't thinking that I would need to hold people accountable, that I would need to do some of those more basic coaching things. But it's so interesting how those end up being such a major part of it. And I wouldn't have expected that going in.
Yeah. Accountability is huge. Even like, I'm doing a group coaching right now, and some people love accountability. They're like, hey, like, one of our challenges this week is, like, everybody take 2 pictures of a sunrise this week. Yep. Watch the sunrise, take a picture and share it. And people are like, man, if I didn't know that you guys were going to be, because we meet once a week, if I didn't know this group was going to be here at the end of the week, I wouldn't do most of the stuff. So for some people, accountability is huge. And some people on an initial interview, they'll say, look, I want accountability.
Yeah.
I need someone to, like, be on me, because I have a tendency to fall off. And I'm like, man, that's great self-awareness. Like, that you need that. Like, fuck yeah, I'm in, because it just gives coach directions. Now, in the back of my head, I'm like, ultimately, we're going to get to a place where you don't need that
Yeah.
system or that external accountability. Like, you'll have it on your own. But if you know you need that now, like, let's go. I'll be there. I will text you at 5 a.m. and be like, you better be running.
And isn't that such a skill too? Like I think we can, and you already kind of mentioned that once we get to the point of knowing we need a coach, you're already thinking at a deeper level. But then even knowing if that you need accountability, I feel like is a next level. And I know not everyone that I've worked with gets that right away. And you almost have to, some people, it feels like you have to kind of really help them with that. Whereas other people come in and that person says, I know I need this accountability. For me, that would be like a super green flag. Cause I'm like, I want to work with you if you know that
Right.
already.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I agree.
it's harder. I think it's harder for me when people don't even have that kind of awareness of themselves. Well, I'll do it. I'm like, but you didn't, you know, like,
Yeah, self-awareness is awesome. That's to me one of the most important skills in life is being self-aware. If you know yourself, then you also know what you need and what you're not doing well, what you need help with, how you can serve others. So yeah, when someone says, "Hey man, I just need you to be like help me be accountable to X, Y, and Z," heck yeah, let's do this.
yeah, that could be an answer to the next question, but I'll ask it anyway, and we can go back and forth. Someone graduates your program or thinking of someone, and yeah, potentially even the surgeon that you worked with. What
Mm.
qualities did they possess that were the most helpful, I would say, to them in your specific program?
That they developed or that they had inherently that helped them get through the training or the program.
Yeah, good question. So I would say both. Like what did they come in with initially, and then yeah, maybe what was the focus on what was the focus on development throughout?
I think initial those ingredients, of like courage, humility, and drive, willingness to learn,
Mm,
try new things, those are great. To me, if when someone finishes, whether it's a retreat or the group, one of the questions or a few of the questions I ask on my intake surveys and my exit surveys is I have a sense of direction in my life. And
mm,
when I see an improvement there, that's huge for me.
yeah, yeah.
Can also ask, like, hey, I believe in my ability to overcome obstacles and grow from them. Typically, that one's higher. And then I have a sense of direction in my life is lower. So that frustration of I know I can do it, but I feel lost. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. If I can help lessen that frustration or give people a sense of empowerment in their lives and then give them the skills to live a life more purposefully, that's huge. That's huge. I love that.
No, I love that too. I think that's fantastic. That's really good. This is kind of like this question, we're kind of jumping to a different side a little bit, but I also know coaches would be interested in it. We're all like looking to learn from each other, right? So, what would you say your most successful strategy has been for growing what you're doing now as a business?
I would say I'm probably not doing well on growing it.
I love it. Honest question or honest
Um,
answer.
but I think I'm doing where I'm at, if that makes sense. I feel like
Yeah.
if good people knocked on my door and said, I want to coach, it would be too many because my coaching is typically very personal and I don't have grand aspirations to like scale. When someone says, oh, you got to scale this, we got to bring in hundreds. And I just
Yeah.
don't, because my best coaching is usually people where at the end it's like, man, we're just good friends.
Yeah.
And I was able to establish that through a personal relationship that typically evolves into a friendship because people share, maybe it starts as like, hey, I want to lead my company, but then it's like, hey, I appreciate you being there for me and help me be a better dad, or a husband, and all it, you can't compartmentalize a human. It's the human being and then being present in all domains of their life. So for me, I feel like I'm where I'm at. I try not to push hard and get over my skis just for the sake
Hmm.
of doing it. So that's not really a good answer. However, I feel like if I am truly authentic and I share genuinely how I can help people, you do this so well, man.
Oh,
Like,
thanks.
like I know we're in a business, right? And we all want to put food on the table, right? And our time and our energy is not free in this economy.
Yeah.
It could be free, and I'm considering doing that. But right now, I do have food to put on the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I can put that energy out there and that message out there in an authentic way of like, I truly, genuinely want to help people. And yes, if you want to coach with me, financially, it'll look like X, Y, and Z. But I always lead with service. I think that's a good standard to hold for myself. And I feel like that will bring in people who resonate with that. Like I said, man, you do that, you put yourself out there, and there's no like cheesy hook or transaction. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
really well. So, but that's probably not a good answer to the question, but I feel like being myself is the best source of advertising that I can do. And that's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's a struggle because you want to put yourself out there, but you also want to like, hey, if there's people interested in coaching, come work with me. But how do I do that in a non-transactional way? Like it's a tough navigation for me.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a bad answer at all. I will go the reverse of that and say it's a great answer, because I was talking about this with another one of my favorite LinkedIn connections, Anna Ledwinowski. I don't know if you're connected with her. She's a Canadian business coach, and she's fantastic. And she posted the other day about like, everyone's saying to scale. I'm not going to. Here's
Yeah.
why. And like, and it was such a cool post because I've always resonated with that. I've always thought like, I've heard of other ghostwriters and other people that do what I do that eventually get so many inquiries that they have to hire another ghost, or they have to hire an editor to help them do this and that. And I'm like, I could see getting help in certain areas, but I would never want to have someone come to me and then be like, you're not going to talk to me. I'm not going to interview you. I'm not going to be a part of your book. Like you're going to be working with me, but not me. Oh
Yeah.
man, I've never wanted to do that. So I think in general, like the idea, and this is like but this is a bigger topic than we have time for, but I'm really interested in it. It's like, we don't have to scale, right? Like who says we have to scale? There's no one that says that, other than like the certain gurus who want us to push a little bit more money on them to
Mhm.
learn how we can scale, right? Like, I don't know, but I don't think we have to. And I love your answer because it's authentic, and it's like, I work with people that I want to work with, and it doesn't need to be this. It doesn't need to be this thing that in 10 years I'm helping 40 people or whatever it is, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's great. I think in my mind, some coaches are going to want it. Like we're going to like, they're going to go, we definitely have to scale this. But I think other coaches will resonate with us when we say, No, actually, I kind of like where I'm at because it gives me the opportunity to be super connected. I mean, that's one thing I always tell people that I work with, like, hey, if we do a book project together, I'm not working with a bunch of other people. It's just going to be me and you, and maybe, a few other projects
Right.
at once, so that, like, yeah, that my focus is on it. And I think, okay, for a big thing like mine, that makes sense. But I also think, yeah, I could very easily scale it if I wanted to at some point, but I don't know. I don't think that that's going to be the path that I go down for the reasons of it being just that authentic connection. So anyway.
Yep. And I think for some coaches, and this isn't like a judgment on either path, some coaches probably can do the higher volume. And maybe that's just like, hey, they're better at it like that. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they're, I don't need to get personal. Like if someone comes to me, I have my shit dialed in so well
Mm-hmm.
that I can just like boom, we got our couple phone calls. I can have a ton of clients and just boom, 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 boom. Or, my method is repeatable. I have a framework. I bring in other coaches to teach this framework. Like, hey, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel as like myself, I'm better or more effective as a coach to help others if it's more of a, okay, we'll meet a few times a month, but I also give most of my clients like, hey, if you want to shoot me a text before a big meeting, or if you have something going on, like just reach out, dude, and I'll help you. I'll be there. I can't do that with 40 people, but I can do it with
Yeah.
5 or 6, right?
And I just think it's those types of questions that some people that are trying to grow for all purposes potentially miss. Because I'm with you on that. If you're going to be available. That's just vital, right? For some businesses and some situations.
Yep.
Okay, so I love this question. We'll see what you think about it. But if you had to stand on your soapbox and just share something with this like coaching audience, what would it be? If that's something that like, if there's something that stirs you up, yeah, that's a better way to phrase that question.
Gosh. I feel, I think our external environment shapes our perceptions of how we treat ourselves and others. Because we live in a world where electronics and the digitization of things makes things very accessible. Light switch goes on and off, instant results, swipe left or right. I can, if I'm hungry, I order something, it comes to the door in no times. Like I can live a life based on fulfilling the rapidly changing internal feelings and whims that I have. And I feel like that affects how we treat people. So we think of each other more transactionally because I think we're used to that because that's the world we live in. And I feel that some of us have lost a way of patience and a way of seeking solutions internally that are more permanent, but that take more time investment. So I think the ability to slow down is being lost. And I think folks expect maybe an instant result or desire something quickly because we've become used to it. But I don't think that's the way humans work. And I don't think that's how relationships, good ones, work. So I think slowing down is important
Yeah,
and
yep.
developing a deeper sense of self-awareness and allowing feelings and sensations to go by and choosing whether or not to be in that feeling or that sensation before you succumb to it, right? And ride this wave of emotions and thoughts that can kind of just take you along, and then you become subject to like an electronic device like a phone or some kind of service because it becomes so quick that it can maintain pace with that internal dialogue that can be all over the place. And now you live a life that's all over the place and you're uncentered. So sometimes I think it's important to detach from that external and realize that the way in is the only way.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a great soapbox to stand on because it just makes so much sense, and we're only going to be dealing with that like more and more, right? I mean, I thought of AI right when you started talking about that, and just like the speed at which we can get some things,
Mhm.
we're not thinking critically and we're not wrestling with subjects. I mean, obviously, I'm thinking about books all the time, but if you write an outline in a book with AI, okay, maybe you're going to have some good content for the book, but you're also not wrestling with it. But it's the same as, and I think it's the same in life. It's like you go and need an answer to something, you go and Google it, but you maybe knew the answer, like it was in your brain, possibly somewhere, and you didn't spend any time to try to pull it out of that area, and that's just like just for your brain. But yeah, I'm totally with you on that. It's too bad that we are losing that. And it feels like it's a constant battle, even if you have the awareness and even if you know that, okay, maybe I look at my phone too much. It's still a struggle not to.
Yeah, it is big time. So yeah, that would be my soapbox, man. It's like we get so wrapped up in the transaction, in the endpoint, that we lose the
Hmm.
journey and the wisdom of the journey. And like you said, I'm not saying like if you commute to work, get on a horse and do it instead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Or walk,
Exactly.
or that, you know, you and I paddle and meet each other in the middle of the Atlantic to have this conversation. But I do feel like the wisdom in the experiences, in the wrestling of it. Like I've written something to your point about AI, right? Like I love to write but it's so hard for me. Like it's so hard to get from brain to paper coherently. But if I don't encounter that difficulty, if I don't wrestle with it, I won't improve,
Yep.
right? And I'll take an idea that is authentic from my soul and I'll put it through a machine and it'll come out and maybe someone will like it and it'll resonate, but I won't get the wisdom from putting it out there. Or I won't get the courage from putting out something where it's like, fuck, that's kind of raw.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then I won't get the courage from that because it's been filtered through a machine. So obviously I turn the lights on to see, but I also think it's important that we don't like overly rely on those things, right? Because then we stun our growth.
Yeah, I just feel like, yeah, if there's a balance that we can find, then that's fantastic. Like you use all the technology we have for the things we purposely decide that we don't like. I don't want to like have to see in the dark. Great, flip the light on. But maybe there are things that it's not like it's we see it right now as a shortcut or a benefit, but maybe it's not. And I think, but it's all for us to question and be aware of it. As long as we're questioning it and like thinking critically about it, then yeah, then we can make a decision. All right, Kevin, where can people find you, more about you, if they're going to be one of the few people that work with you potentially? Where could they connect with you
Yeah.
if they can get through the application process?
uh, LinkedIn is easy, just Kevin Stark. And then my website is if they want to learn more about, hey, what's this guy about? How does he do? What does he do? Um, aretepath.com, ARETE path.com. And that's a little bit of my background, and you can schedule a consultation on there. Easy way to get to know each other. And I do write on Substack as well, articles, so that kind of gives you a flavor of, what I'm about. If going back to like, hey, this is my pulse, this is where I'm at. If it aligns with you, if you're interested, like check it out.
Cool. And you also, to add with that, you do retreats yearly, or are they not like annually or anything like that?
Yep, I probably do a few a year.
Okay, okay.
I got one coming up in September, which is full. And then previously I did one in March. So a few a year. Would love to do probably 3 or 4 or more. Those are like 4 days, 4 nights out in the mountains, talking about regaining that inner wisdom, right? That inner
Yeah.
voice. So you can live more aligned with that instead of the external ones.
And are those generally for people in your area, or do people sometimes come from
Yeah.
from further
All,
away, or I'm just curious.
yeah. Folks from all over the country, typically. Yep. They might fly in or drive in. I've done them in Montana, North Carolina, Utah. This next one's going to be in Alabama. So
Amazing. And the people there fall into your same like the leadership air like arena, or does it expand
yeah, it's so I work with
or depend?
yeah, it depends.
Okay.
People who are looking for, hey, a personal experience, a challenge. I typically mix veterans with folks from private and public sector.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there's a good interaction there. Both groups can learn from each other. It's like leaders in industry and business can learn from the veterans about like, hey, that sense of duty that they have,
Yeah.
how important like values and like that experience is. And then the veterans can learn from the other side of like, hey, what it's like, to lead and live in the business world. And, so there's a good mix and exchange of ideas and a common thread of just being your best self.
Oh, that's amazing. I would encourage anyone listening to this to check that out for sure.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a good time, and I enjoy it. It's fun.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on this. It's been a great conversation from my side. I always learn a lot from these. And I think anyone, or hopefully anyone that listened to it, would have a lot to take away. But yeah, appreciate you. Thank you so much for having this conversation, and let's talk again soon.
Yeah, buddy, you bet. Thank you.
Are you still here listening to this podcast? You're awesome. I got 2 CTAs for you. Number 1, subscribe to this podcast for more. And number 2, have you ever thought about writing a book? Contact Jordan. He can help you out. Jordan@jmring.com.